The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. Captain Judy Rice's world flight in 2015 is a monumental achievement in aviation, highlighting her skills as a pilot, her dedication to education, and her commitment to promoting STEM globally. This journey's primary goal was to inspire and educate young people across the globe about the wonders of aviation and the importance of pursuing careers in STEM fields.
To be a total world flight, circumnavigating flight, it has to start from one location and come back. You have to circumnavigate either north to south or east to west and go around the Earth and come back to that location. There's two routes you fly when you fly around the world. The eastern route, where you go around this way, or the northern route, where you go this way. Northern route is safer because you have more land. Eastern route, you have a whole lot of water. The Citation wouldn't be as big an issue as I was originally going to do it in a Cirrus. And I told him, okay, I'm going to fly around the world in this airplane. He said, we don't advise it. This airplane is not made for that. What do I do? And I just relaxed. I said, if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. So I was friends with Buzz Aldrin, and I'm at an event with Buzz in California. And the two owners of the Citation came up to me and said, we heard about your project. I said, yeah, isn't that cool? I don't have an airplane, but it's really cool. They said, you got one. They said, we're going to loan our Citation, we're going to pay for the fuel, but we got to go with you. And they said, yeah, it's a lot of work to do that planning, and you've got it all done. The only thing they had to do, because everywhere you land, you have to have permits. And you have to have permits for the airplane, you have to have permits for each passenger, and you have to have permits for the pilot and the co-pilot. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of paperwork. So they said, you got it all we have to do is get our permits. I said, it's a deal.
With the hurdle of finding an aircraft to fly around the world out of the way, now comes the equally daunting task of funding such an expedition. This became another opportunity for Judy to shine and spread her light around the world by starting her own non-profit organization, Think Global Flight.
I created Think Global Flight and made it a non-profit because no one's going to donate money if they don't get something out of it. I was given publicity, I was giving them good feelings that, you know, you're really growing the future, but they also want financial. So if it's a nonprofit, they get a tax benefit. And people that are donating money want tax benefits. And establishing a nonprofit is not easy. But I stuck through it and I got the nonprofit done. In the meantime, I'm still raising money, but it wasn't quite as successful. And as soon as I had Think Global Flight as a .org, the money started coming in. The money, and most of it actually was in product. And you think, how can you have fuel and product? The fuel was in product because I had one of the major fuel suppliers all over the world donate at each of my stops the fuel. I'd pull up and they say, oh, you Think Global Flight. How much fuel you gonna need? And I'd just say, top it off.
As ambitious as Captain Judy was, this was something she could not do alone.
Edwin Sahakian and John Friedman. I adore those guys. Edwin is from Armenia, which is why we spent 2 days in Armenia. Armenians are some of the kindest, nicest, sweetest people. His wife's from Armenia. His son has that whole kind Armenian feel about him. And he was my main co-pilot. And he'd say, I'm not going to touch the controls. Say, thank you, Edwin. You know, because I knew they wanted to fly. And John Freeman is a famous surgeon in California. He is a heart specialist. And John Freeman, like a surgeon, is pretty rigid. You know, he's a good guy.
Rice embarked from the United States in Burbank, California, heading eastward across the North Atlantic Ocean. Over the course of her journey, which spanned 26 countries, Captain Judy met with students at every opportunity. Her route included stops across the United States, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Each leg of the journey was carefully documented, with Rice sharing her experiences through blog posts and social media, bringing her audience along for the ride.
I had over 10,000 following. The technology was difficult for some of them, to actually follow me. And what I'd do is that I'd ask the relief pilot, okay, and I'd answer him when we're flying or when we get back, and I'm so tired. I had to answer him before I went to sleep. I wouldn't sleep otherwise. So we had over 10,000 actually following, but technology back then was really difficult. Most of them talked to me from their school because their school had computers.
She piloted a Cessna Citation Mustang, departing on June 13, 2015, and returning on August 15, 2015, logging 70 flight hours. She flew a distance of 22,536 miles, with 34 stops. Joining Captain Judy on this historic flight was an esteemed group: Captain Edwin Sahakian, Captain John Friedman, and astronaut Dr. Buzz Aldrin. Fred Nauer was the navigator, and Rice's logistics crew included Gary Marshhauser, ground crew chief, and Rich Mamross from the National Weather Service.
Airspace is a challenge. Airspace is a challenge in the United States, and it's even more of a challenge around the world. It's regulated around the world. The United States is about the only country that has non-regulatory airspace where you can just go up and fly. There were a couple countries that you could just go up and fly, but even then you have to apply to go fly and you have to pay. Spain was one of them. You pay a lot of money to fly in most countries. So Tel Aviv, if countries are at war, you fly from one country that's at war with another country. It ain't gonna happen. So we land in Cyprus because we can get a permit to land in Cyprus. We land in Cyprus, and there are 3 very important questions we have to go on a computer and look at them and answer. Because then when you go into Israel, they're going to ask you those 3 very important questions, and you got to have the right answer that you just put on that computer. So I'm with my 2 safety pilots, and we're going, oh God, what are they going to, they're going to ask something about the citation. We got to be prepared with all the books and all the data. So we go on the computer, we bring up the 3 very important questions. The first one is, what is your favorite food? This is a trick. The other 2 are really going to be hard. What is your favorite color? Really? Are we on the right computer? And name an important person. I actually look for someone to say, is this really the computer with the questions that we need? Is what the controllers are going to ask us to get into Israel, a high security country? No one was around. So, okay, here we go. So we get in the airplane, we go up. Sure enough, thank goodness I wrote the answers and the questions on my knee board. Because sure enough, as we're going over and approaching Israel, they asked those 3 very important questions. I answered them appropriately. They said, congratulations, you can land.
What sets Rice's flight apart from other circumnavigational journeys was her focus on education. At each stop, she engaged with local residents, schools and students, and aviation enthusiasts, conducting workshops, presentations, and discussions about aviation, exploration, and STEM education. Through these interactions, Rice aimed to spark interest and ambition in students, encouraging them to dream big and consider careers in aviation.
The longest part of it was Russia. The most delightful part was Armenia. Armenia, and the most honorable part was Israel. I met Prince Sultan at one of the conferences I was talking at. It was an international conference. But after I was done talking, he came up to me and he shook my hand and he said, "Hi, I'm Prince Sultan. I'm a ruler of Saudi Arabia right now. I need you to come to my country." Oh, okay. I was shocked. What an honor. And you look out at the audience, and most of them are teenagers, teenage females. And when I started talking about flying, doesn't matter what you are, the airplane doesn't care of your sex, doesn't care of your color, the airplane doesn't care. You can fly.
She collaborated with educational organizations and utilized her journey as a platform to highlight the importance of global citizenship, environmental awareness, and technological innovation. By connecting with students around the world, Rice demonstrated the practical applications of STEM subjects and the exciting possibilities they offer for solving real-world problems. As if circumnavigating the globe wasn't enough of an achievement, Rice also set a National Aeronautic Association speed record during the global flight.
I broke the speed record from Greenland to Iceland, because Greenland is not green. and I picked Greenland to Iceland because I don't like being cold. And if you don't like something, make it fun. The speed record was a huge amount of work before, during, and after. Because you just don't go say, I'm going to break a speed record and go do it. It's a lot of paperwork. FAI, it's like a lot. FAA, and I wanted it international, so I had to do an FAI speed record also. So I left Greenland and flew just over 500 nautical miles to Iceland. And what I did is I researched, okay, what are the speed records from here to here? What are the speed records from here to here? And I had to pick an area that did not have a speed record that was greater than the airplane could do. The airplane maxed at 500 knots, and I had to turn to the owners before I went full power, because this was going to be like 15 minutes. That's hard on an airplane. And they knew. And I turned to them just to reassure. And I went, "Are you sure?" And they said, "Let's go for it." So it was a hoot. It was a lot of work. Again, paperwork before, paperwork after. Very fun in between, but very intense, because jets go fast. Things can happen pretty darn quick in that 500 knots. It's like, that's a lot of work, a lot of scanning. My safety pilot next to me, one of the owners, really helped me scan. It's like, "Do you want me to help you with the control?" "No, because then it's not my speed record. Hands off, It's like, okay, if I see you need help, I'm going to help you. Of course, it's your airplane, we don't want to hurt your airplane. So it's really a lot of work. And then when I landed, I had to have a signature of the air traffic controller. And, oh, he was so wonderful. I'd say he was maybe 36 years old, and he came down, and I got a picture of the huge grin on his face. And he did. He said, "No one's ever done anything like that here. We feel so important. Thank you, Captain Judy." So you are important, It was really neat.
This global flight represented an immense amount of work and commitment to fulfill its serious mission of engaging students around the world in STEM education. Still, the crew found time for a little fun.
Bangladesh. So we're on our way into Bangladesh, and I had paid and filed for overflight plans, landing fees. Everything was paid for so we could land, have a good time, get fuel, get out. So I call up Bangladesh controllers, give them the tail number, and they said, "We don't have anything for you." I go, "Oh no, this isn't good." So I asked permission to land, and they said, yes. Do you need fuel? Yes. Okay. So we land in Bangladesh. And it's kind of like one of those movies where you hear crickets. You know, you chirp, 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 chirp. So shut the engine down and open up the door. And it's like we heard crickets. Chirp, 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 chirp. No one's around. And look out. No one's around. They had no idea where the paperwork was when we called in. So Edwin and John said, we're going to the tower to figure out where our paperwork is. They got it. They just don't know where it is, which is what happened. And in the meantime, Buzz is trying to be really gracious. It's like 110 degrees out there and even hotter in the Citation. And Buzz has got this newspaper and he's got this half bottle of juice. That's all we had. And I had an apple. And Buzz is going like this, trying to wipe the sweat, trying not to be aggravated, read his newspaper and drink his juice. And I thought, I'm killing Buzz Aldrin in this heat. So I said, come on, Buzz. And he looked at me like, I took his newspaper. No one ever took my newspaper before. And I laid it out on the Bangladesh ramp. And he's looking at me like, this lady lost her mind. The heat got to her. I took his juice. I had my apple. Went like this to the newspaper. I sat down. Then he got it. I sat down. I took my shoes off, took my socks off, had the apple, had his juice. He took his shoes off, took his socks off, and we had a picnic on the Bangladesh ramp. It was amazing. It was surreal because while we're sitting there sharing this apple, sharing this bottle of juice, in the background, it's prayer time. So all of a sudden, all this prayer is going on in the background. And we look over, while the prayer is going on, there are men with this great big long sickle cutting the grass down along the runway. And the other one's grabbing it up and throwing it in the cart and hauling away. It was surreal while the hymns are going on.
Buzz Aldrin reflected on Rice's efforts to engage aspiring aviators, saying, "Back when I was privileged to be part of the Apollo program, the USA was #1 in science and technology fields. No one had ever heard of STEM because we were at the top. Today, America is falling behind other countries." The impact of Rice's flight around the world extends far beyond her personal achievements of circumnavigating the globe. By combining her passion for aviation with a commitment to education and outreach, Rice has inspired countless individuals to pursue their interests in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. During her global flight, she engaged some 20,000 students. Her journey serves as a powerful example of how determination, education, and adventure can intersect to create meaningful and lasting change.
You can do anything you want to do that you put your mind to. Do not tell yourself no. Do not allow people to tell you no. If you really want to do it, it's a good thing to do, and you feel it in your heart and soul, you gotta do it. It's going to eat you alive otherwise. I was not going to live my life being eaten alive by should have done it, should have, could have. I do what I say I'm going to do. And if it's a good thing to do, then you feel really good about yourself.
Captain Judy Rice's adventure transcended the skies, igniting a global beacon of inspiration, curiosity, and determination, especially for women in aviation. Rice's voyage is a testament to the power of dreams fueled by passion and perseverance, proving that the sky is merely the beginning. Her legacy illuminates the path for future aviators, showing that when we aim beyond the horizon, the possibilities are limitless. Captain Rice didn't just navigate the globe, she charted a course for others to follow, turning the vast sky into a playground of endless potential.